My name is Ngini Chika, and this is the final part of a story that broke a woman, rebuilt her, and then taught her what strength truly feels like. We left off at the moment Kin arrived at the safe house with a lawyer, the kind of man who speaks softly but carries papers sharp enough to cut through a mother's sanity. Ijeoma stood there with her child sleeping inside and a future shifting under her feet. The lawyer held out a document, and Kin said in that calm, practiced voice of his, "Let's make this simple. Sign it." Ijeoma's hands trembled, not from fear of him, but from the memory of everything she had invested in a man who could now use the law to remake her story. The papers were neat, organized, efficient, written in the language of people who win by looking respectable. They offered her visitation. They offered her arrangements. They offered comfort so long as she accepted being the lesser parent. She looked at Kin and realized something that burned through her chest. This man had never loved her. He had loved control. She didn't sign anything. She closed the door. And that night, after the lawyer left and silence returned, she cried in a way she had not cried in years. Not the loud, heart-shattering tears of heartbreak, but the quiet tears of realization. Tears that come when a woman finally sees the full picture, the entire truth of the man she loved and the entire truth of the woman she needed to become. The next morning, Ijeoma woke earlier than usual. Something inside her felt anchored, not by comfort, but by clarity. She began gathering documents, school records, photos with dates, recordings of conversations, messages saved over months. She collected witness statements from neighbors who had overheard arguments, from the boutique worker who had seen the ring, from the friend who knew both timelines. Slowly, she built a case, not against Kin as a man, but against the story he was trying to paint about her. It took weeks. It took money she didn't have. It took courage she didn't know existed inside her bones. Her lawyer, a woman with kind eyes but a still voice, told her this will not be easy. He has resources. He will try to make you look emotional, unstable, reactive. Ijeoma nodded. She had already seen that tactic at play. But she also had something Kin would never have: truth, a mother's instinct, and the moral weight of someone who had nothing left to lose. The first hearing was quiet. Small. A room that smelled like paper and old air. Kin sat on one side with his lawyer, polished and composed. Ijeoma sat on the other side, shoulders straight, heart steady, her daughter's future in her hands. When the magistrate asked why they were there, Kin spoke first. He painted a picture of a woman who was not cooperating, a woman who took off without explanation, a woman who couldn't handle stress. His words were smooth, practiced, the kind that makes strangers nod. Then it was Ijeoma's turn. Her voice was steady, but the truth in it vibrated through the entire room. She talked about the double life, the other woman, the proposal, the ring, the lies, the night she waited with a pounding chest, the manipulation disguised as reason, the attempt to use the law to paint her as negligent. She said one sentence that made the courtroom fall silent: "I did not live to destroy him. I left to save myself." Even Kin blinked. Then she placed the evidence on the table, photo after photo, message after message, dates, times, receipts, screenshots. The magistrate read quietly. The lawyer on Kin's side swallowed. That day, something shifted. Kin's mask didn't fall off, it cracked. And through the cracks, the truth leaked. The court ordered a temporary arrangement that favored stability, routine, and safety, all things that pointed directly to Ijeoma. Kin was angry. Not visibly, but there was a tightness in his jaw that told a story. He walked past her without a word. But the legal battle was only one part of her becoming. Outside the courtroom, Ijeoma began rebuilding her life piece by piece. She moved into a small but peaceful apartment with warm walls and a window that faced the sunrise. She got a better job, one her friend Neka helped her find. She started therapy. She joined a support group for women who had survived emotional manipulation. She began to laugh again, first quietly, then loudly. She cooked meals that reminded her of the woman she used to be. She braided her daughter's hair and told her stories about courage. And for the first time in years, she slept through the night. Months passed. One afternoon, Ijeoma was picking up her daughter from school when she saw Kin waiting under a tree. He wasn't with his lawyer. He wasn't holding documents. He wasn't wearing the confident smirk she'd known for years. He just looked tired. Human. Small in a way that betrayal often makes the betrayer look when their power is gone. He walked toward her slowly. "Ijeoma," he said softly. She didn't answer. "I never meant for things to go this far," he whispered, eyes on the ground. She didn't answer. "You were always the steady one. I thought you would forgive anything." That sentence struck something inside her, the arrogance, the entitlement, the belief that a good woman is someone you can break without consequences. She looked at him with a calm he didn't expect and said, "I am not angry anymore, Kin. But I am not yours. Not your comfort. Not your backup plan. Not your second chance." He inhaled sharply. Then she added something that ended the conversation permanently. "You did not lose me because you cheated. You lost me because you tried to destroy my dignity." Kin stood still, the weight of her words settling on him like stones. He nodded once and left. After that day, things softened. Not between them, but inside her. The war had ended. The rebuilding had begun. Her daughter flourished. Her peace returned like warm water filling an empty bowl. And one evening, while sitting on her balcony watching the city lights flicker, Ijeoma realized something powerful. She had become a woman she was proud of. A woman who had walked through hell barefoot and came out with her head high. A woman who learned that love should never feel like a battlefield. A woman who learned to choose herself fully and fiercely. She became her own safe place. And that is the beginning of the rest of her life. My name is Ngini Chika, and this was the story of a woman who discovered her worth the day love tried to break her. A woman who learned that heartbreak is not the end, sometimes it's the doorway. Thank you for listening, and remember, every story finds a heartbeat here. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and follow us for more.